a huge knock, and she was on the ground for quite a while. But great news for both camps, both players taking back to the track in the second half, so they're both in good form.
Thanks, Em. As we start the second half, it's the Blues by a goal. Brisbane dominated to this end in the opening quarter rather, as Anderson finds Laloifi, who's back on the ground, as Em mentioned, and that'll be 50. Really handy in these conditions today, particularly when you're kicking into the breeze, Abs. It's almost worth 75.
Yeah, it really is. We've seen so much dominance to the left-hand side of screen, so let's see if the Blues can break that trend and really get some scores on the board in the third term.
And that was against Jessie Wardlaw, as you saw there, just running through the protected zone. She tried to get around behind Emma Zilke. Need to leave some space behind the player in the mark as well. That's part of the protected zone. Stevens at ground level, as she's done a couple of times today, hits up, then wins it on the deck. And she now delivers to Sarah Hosking.
Well, that was excellent work by Nick Stevens, wasn't it? She was under pressure, she was hot, but she managed to shimmy and shake her way out of it, steady up and hit a target inside 50. Well done.
Let's get a look at what the breeze is doing now. Looks pretty still at the moment. We'll check down with Em shortly, but not as much as there was in the opening half. So Hosking from 45. We'll pop it right up to the square. Stevens stays off the contest. There she is. Couldn't get an open path to goal, though, and Brisbane managed to collapse on top of it.
That's exactly where you want Taylor Harris, isn't it? If the ball's going to the top of the square, you want her contesting for every single ball. She's so good in the air. Well,
the likes of Stevens and Vesio just waiting at ground level. And this young lady as well, Manny Prasparkas, what a finisher she is. Umpires confer, and it's touched. So the ball sailed through, it was touched off the boot, and the Lions dodge a bullet. Here's another look. Well, that's nowhere near touched.
That's nowhere near touched. Very unfortunate there for Maddie Prasparkas.
Walker might make them pay. They might turn this into a 7-point play.
And Brooke Walker, we've seen some frustration in her game in the first half. She's been caught holding the ball on a couple of occasions, but you can just sense that with these speedsters in the Blues outfit, the Walkers, the Daltons, the Gs, you can't hold them down for long.
So for the 7-point play, Prasparkas robbed of a goal. Walker, 30 out, starts it right, misses. Every opportunity going to be so critical in this second half. Preliminary final berth potentially on the line, so there's another look.
It looks like a good metre and a half between that. So, you know, you understand that these umpires, there's so much pressure on them at any given moment.
And we've checked the goal line as well. It sailed through clearly. No one touched it on the lines. That's just an umpire error, which happens. Here's Emma Zilke. Goes short and finds Lutkins. Again, we speak of sing the praises of their veterans. They're just so important. Here's Conway. So Brisbane, can they make the most of their good fortune early in this third term? Conway's kick towards Keefe, couldn't complete the mark. Anderson at ground level, taken down. Egan, one back by Keefe now at ground level. Gives it off to Greider. She's got a couple of runners in support. Wushner. Spark wants to take on Harrington. Look at the strength of Kathy Spark. Kept the football alive. Laloifi in one direction. It's built to Zilke, had an air swing. Well done, Harrington. Found space where there was none. Can now feed it back to Pound. Needs to be precise with her use here. Harris got one hand to it. Webb gets rid of Harris. With a handball straight to Plain. That's pinched again by Shani Webb. Can look up at 50. Heads in the Wardlaw direction. She's got Wilson to beat. Two of the most athletic young players in the competition. Wardlaw. Wilson can't get the hands free. Umpires will call for it as we head back down to M.
Yeah, Jace, just on that Maddie Prasparkas goal, Daniel Harford, the most animated I've ever seen him. He was right up, right on the edge of the boundary, got out of his seat, and you can hear him really from anywhere on the ground. He's being that animated on the boundary.
Ooh, imagine how animated he's going to be when he sees the replay, Em, as Pound is taken to the line by Wushner. He's been a breath of fresh air for this competition, hasn't he, Abs?
He really has. And I love the way that Half goes about it. You know, it's none of this cliche, you know, 1 week at a time, things like that. He's just got a different approach about it, and I really love it. It's refreshing.
Hickey to the front, Pound, little handball over the top. Zilke in Just rides the push from Egan, goes towards the square. Wilson did well, just attacked it. Didn't worry about Wardlaw, went for the football herself. Spills to Arnell, the veteran snaps and hits the post.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? We've seen, I guess, so much one-sided play to this side of the ground. We'll check in with them as well a little bit later because that breeze must have dropped. Carlton have had plenty of action in that forward half.
Oh, Wilson drops the mark, puts herself under pressure from Conway. Pound, Lalawifi, not the required distance. Cool head from Lalawifi. Did really well. Got it to Egan, but she fumbles as well. A couple of little skill errors here, putting the Blues under pressure. Zilke, high ball. Hosking will attack it. They come from all sides. What a mark. Greta Bodie kept her eyes on the football and takes a beauty. 35 out directly in front.
Such a courageous mark by Greta Bodie. She went back with the flight of the footy, had no idea what was coming behind her.
That is a mark and a half.
That's sensational. It's her first disposal for the game as well, so let's see if she can slot it through the big sticks.
Missed last week with a hand injury, one of 2 inclusions today for Brisbane. Will kick from 40 out. Makes terrible contact, but it might work because here's Arnell lurking at the front. She floats it towards the square. Off the hands of the contest, hits the behind post and we'll have a throw in.
Lauren Arnell on screen, such a steady head, so much experience in the game. It's essentially like having another coach out there on the ground, isn't it, Jace?
Yeah, she's done her level 2 coaching and I'm sure she'll be heading in that direction in her future career. Well, it spilled over the back to Vesio without anyone touching it, and she just kicks for territory here. The speedster G against Campbell. Campbell's got the body size and the strength and the gather, but G will stay with her. She didn't have the speed, and G ran her down.
Oh, Georgia G, I tell you what, I certainly don't want to take her on. Have a look at this closing
And it'll be
speed.
50 again because Brisbane have run through the mark in their effort to get back and pick up the Carlton players who had streamed forward. Katie Loynes, which is where the kick went, was out on her own, and I think it might have been Kathy Spark, spotted it, went sprinting off to try and shut Loynes down, but in the process, just runs straight through the protected zone.
There you go, just on screen there.
So a chance for the Blues to get one into the breeze in this third term and open up a little bit of a buffer in this contest. G directly in front. Hasn't missed this season. She's got 6 straight, and the Blues lead by 13 points. So as the sun shines brightly over Princess Park this afternoon for one of the few times the Blues preliminary final prospects start to shine a little brighter as well. 13 points the margin. Plenty of time left in this one. But Brisbane now need to respond.
Hashtag we are watching is what we want to see with all your photos, whether you're watching at home, whether you're watching at work, wherever you are. Hashtag we are watching. Very cute Blues fan, I might say.
Thanks, Em. Margin back to 13, and here's Spark. Just grits her teeth, wants to make amends. Doesn't hit the kick sweetly, and Lalawifi will cut it off. So important minutes in this game now. 7.5 left in the third. The Blues have the momentum. Conditions as good as they've been all afternoon. Edwards, run down by Postlethwaite, managed to get the handball free. Dalton tracks it at ground level. Arnell comes in to put some pressure on. Conan in there as well. Can Brisbane respond? Downey, nice tap. Dalton. The outside give to Edwards was clever. Prasparkas followed up, got involved and finds Stevens, and the Blues are starting to find it a little bit on the outside now, Abs.
They really are, and Nick Stevens as well. What a start to this second half she has had. So important to them as she kicks down the line. Taylor Harris almost with a very impressive grab.
Physical approach there from Harris. Smashes Campbell in the air, and then a heavy shot on, I think it's Emily Bates. In fact, it's Zilke at ground level, and I was right the first time, it is Bates.
And what I don't like about this is that the umpire, I think, is putting Taylor Harris in the book for that sling tackle.
Well, when you see the replay, she actually doesn't hit her head on the ground. She hits her head on her teammate's ankle.
Yep.
So the umpire's not to know that, but let's take another look. Bates actually doesn't hit the ground with her head. So goes into the, so you would think Taylor Harris will probably be okay.
Do they look at the action though, Jace? Did they see the sling? Yes, she might not have.
It's going to be interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
It'll certainly get looked at. Obviously, it's been reported, so The match review will take a good close look at it, but it's going to be interesting. If the head doesn't hit the ground, it actually hits a teammate's leg on the way down. What impact, if any, does that have? Off hands and a throw in. It was a vigorous tackle, but the Blues will be arguing, well, she didn't hit her head on the ground.
No. And you expect nothing less from Taylor Harris, don't you? She's just one speed, 100% effort, 100% of the time. We'll just have another look for further confirmation. So the sling was there, but...
She actually gets kicked in the head there by Brie Conan.
That might be her saving grace.
Egan can't get away from Conan. She's then slung in the tackle, and the umpire will pay a free kick. Grace Egan, what a pickup she's been for the Blues. Her 11th touch this afternoon had an instant impact in this competition. Goes in the Edwards direction. The veteran up against Postlethwaite. Tries to work her off the contest with strength. Shani Webb there. Does likewise to Edwards. Harris tries to break through. Postlethwaite got a hand in. Egan pops it over the top. Edwards tries to link up with Loynes. Ball spills out. Still there for the Blues. Dalton. Loynes runs into a couple. She's slung as well. That'll be another free kick. Umpire says play on advantage. G lurks at the back. Can tidy up and kick a second. So the Blues putting the foot down in the third term. A couple of goals to Georgia G. And they've opened up a handy lead of 19 points with 4.5 minutes remaining in the third. What a season from Georgia G. 7 straight goals she's kicked now as a small forward. Just keeps getting better year on year.
Well, it was the long bomb in from Taylor Harris. Out here from Loynes. That was a sling tackle, but play on to advantage. She got it over the back to Georgia G, and that's the position that defenders don't want Georgia G in because she's so quick. 7 goals straight in her AFLW season this year.
It's had a fine year. She'd only kicked 7 in her first couple of seasons. One of the big improvers of the comp as Loynes sockers it off the ground out of the hands of Dalton. McAvoy tried to get it to Loynes, who followed up. Critical time now for Brisbane. Anderson links up with Bates. Now Lutkins. Some of the veterans getting involved. Over the head of Lalawifi. Wardlaw's got to try and get into the game here. She's been well blanketed. Jess Hosking. Chips to space. Lug works hard to get there first for Brisbane. Fashions a kick across her body. Zilke tries to keep it alive. Plain will cut it off. She'll look up and float a kick towards Prespakis, who I think might have just come off the bench.
Yep.
She can get it now. She's got runners to the outside. She's got McAvoy on the inside, or she can deliver to G. She chooses the third option. G now versus Campbell at ground level. Harris in support. Gets the hands free. It's picked off by Webb. Webb handballs down the line. Will go herself. Couldn't quite hit the kick, and then Webb and Loynes come together.
Yeah, this is pure frustration from Webb, and it's not often that you see Katie Loynes down. Yes, she gets smacked around, but she traditionally gets straight up, so this one's knocked her hard, and we'll just have another look at it here. So it's a hard hit, fair hit, and then just the sling there from Webb.
So the free kick going back to the Carlton co-captain. She pops it up inside 50, over the head of McAvoy and Keefe. McAvoy at ground level, can't get clear. G smothers it off the boot of Lutkins, who then gets rid of G. G gets the football back, goes to the voice of Brazali. She's pushed off her kick by Postlethwaite, and the Lions will get the ball back.
G's getting busy, isn't she? That was just her 6th disposal for the afternoon, but she's so crafty with ball in hand, and she makes every disposal count.
So Katie Loynes has just come to the bench to gather her thoughts. That kick flirts with the boundary line. Prespakis with courage. Wushner coming the other way, and it's out. Maddie Prespakis up to 14 possessions, equal game high with Karen Harrington.
She's been held relatively well in this third term, though, so you can just see there, Ali Anderson body on with Maddie Prespakis, so she's done a great job to keep her relatively quiet.
Here's Egan, down to Anderson, mishits the kick. Moody gets some distance on it. Over the back is Vesio lurking. Danger here for Brisbane. Walker there as well, throws a boot at it, but just misses right. Been an impressive third term from Carlton. They've managed to get the game on their terms, which is what they spoke about at half-time with Nicola Stevens, just getting it to the outside where they can do some damage. And then the third, they've managed to do that. Harrington happy to let that one roll over the line.
Yeah, the game's well and truly on their terms now. And we saw in Alice Springs last week, it probably took them the first half to get going, and then they came home incredibly strong. So I think we're seeing a little bit of that here.
Harrington inside 50 over the head of Vesio. Here's G again, already 2 goals in this third term, and she's bustled out by Nat Grider.
And that'll be something that they'll address should they get over the line to here, which is looking likely because, you know, in the start of this season, we've saw a 4-quarter effort from Carlton, and if they've just been dropping off in the opening half, they really need to address that before heading into a potential final next week.
Here's Prespakis. Egan, she can have a look. Grace Egan for her 3rd goal in AFLW, misses left. Carlton's effort in the first half, Abs, was there. It wasn't a lack of effort, was it? It was just Brisbane played a style of football that was designed to contain them, and it worked.
Yeah, I think it was more just assessing the situation and getting a grasp on the tempo of the game.
Just takes them a bit of time to work into it.
Yep.
And get the game on their terms, which they've done again today as Conway goes towards the wing. Gutsy effort from all players concerned, and it'll spill nicely for Brisbane. Dawes will look up with nothing to kick to, so they'll have to run it. This is O'Dwyer. She's going to try and get away from Dalton, and not many do that.
Chloe Dalton, what a star this woman is. She does it all. But have a look at this hit. All of the Blues girls went to the ground. The Lions kept their feet, but what a recovery there from Dalton. She's got electric closing speed.
Perfectly executed tackle too. It didn't see O'Dwyer's head hit the turf.
No.
Here's Fark. Just gets a kick away under pressure from Vesio. Wardlaw's got 3 to beat. Will she get a free kick? She will.
And that's unfortunate. You can see there just the Blues defenders, hands on hips, shaking heads, because they just needed a little bit of communication. They had the outnumber, 3-1. And Jessie Wardlaw ends up with footy after this free kick. Let's take a look at the hold.
It's Harrington, and she's got a piece of the jumper, and it's going to be 50. So 50 for Descent, presumably, and Wardlaw will step up and kick her first for the afternoon and keep Brisbane alive with just 36 seconds left on the clock. What a critical goal this is. We saw yesterday the Kangas here kick a goal after the 3-quarter time siren that was so critical to the overall outcome of the match. And this will just give Brisbane some hope. Wardlaw converts. That'll give the Lions a little bit of belief.
And they're still in this game, Jace. There's, you know, 15 points in it, which is nothing for a quarter of football. We saw it yesterday, you know, up in Sydney.
14 points down with 9 minutes to go, and
14
Melbourne
points, won by 3 points. So it can be done. Never say never. It's AFLW finals. It's a completely different ball game.
So this will give Craig Starcevich something extra to work with at 3-quarter time. Their message will clearly be, look, if we strike first, it's a 9-point game.
They needed that goal, though, and that girl on screen really sets them up for a big final term.
So a critical goal there for Brisbane in the dying stages of the third. Brings it back to 15 points. Moody, strong tap down to Loynes. Prespakis taken out, and she's really sore, grabbing at that left ankle as Loynes will kick it towards 50. Hosking coming in one direction. 5 seconds left on the clock. Conway controls the football. She'll do enough. And at 3-quarter time, as Maddie Prespakis limps off through the middle of the ground, she's in a lot of pain. So maybe some late drama in the third term here at Icon Park. Let's take another look. It happened in the tackle. She runs into Loynes, lands awkwardly. Have to wait and see whether it was a contact injury or a twist. Emma Vosti will be all over that at 3-quarter time. The Blues lead by 15 points. It's